Good afternoon. My name is Martin Cowart, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Hour, where we gather together every day at noon, Monday through Saturday, to love and support each other through this pandemic. We can't do it alone. There's just too much fear, and there's too much at risk to try to get through this without the love and support of fellow mystics. And that's not some mystics, are just people who realize that they are the mystery of life. They are the gift. And so just let go of the need to think you're in control of anything and just really dance in the mystery of life. And teach others how to dance in the mystery of life as a demonstration. So that's why we come here together, as we come together to talk as fellow mystics. Hey, Mindy, that's my fellow mystic, Mindy Mount, on Monday. It does feel like a Monday, and I'm glad to be back in my home man cave here in northern New Jersey. It is a beautiful day here, and I'm just really glad to be home. Although I did have a wonderful time in San Juan. I was there for 3 weeks, and it was beautiful. And being able to go out on the beach in the morning and do yoga and really bring in the day from that place is just great. But I've been doing the same thing here. I'm really lucky to have a beautiful backyard, and some of my flowers were a little bit parched, but we got them some water, and most of them are doing pretty well by now. But anyway, thank you for joining me again today. And today I'm just concerned about how people might be dealing with this pandemic emotionally. How are you emotionally? I mean, if you're not feeling some fear, then maybe you're not human. Everybody's feeling some fear. We're being confronted. COVID-19 has put death, our two biggest fears, death and loss of income, up front and center. I mean, we are dealing with that every single day, every single moment. And it's hard. It's hard not to go into despair. It's hard not to go into fear. That's why we come together, because we can't do it alone. And I mean, I've been in financial hardship before, where I was down so low that professionals were telling me the only way out was to declare bankruptcy. Fortunately, I had enough sense not to do that, because I knew that an external Band-Aid would not resolve the inner conflict in me. And I'm so glad I did, because it really forced that incident, that situation, and that drama in my life forced me to go inside myself and discover really what I was. And that's what I want to talk about here for you today, is how do we take all of the fear, all of the things that are happening in the material world, and we transform those into something that's of value to us. How do we transform that fear of running out of money, that fear of death, into love? Because that's what transformation is. That's what mystics do. That's what contemplatives do. They go when we're pushed up against the wall. We've had enough practice of sitting in silence, getting still, and going within ourselves, surrendering the problem, surrendering the beliefs of the ego-thinking mind that created the problem to a higher level of intelligence. We call that infinite intelligence. That's what Napoleon. Hello, Julian. It's been a long time. I love your picture, by the way. It's a beautiful picture. With the light coming through the window. Happy full moon in Aquarius to expand the heart and mind. Connecting with source. Wow. Happy full moon in Aquarius. I didn't know that, so thank you for letting me know about the fact that we are having a full moon in Aquarius. And maybe that explains why my heart feels so expanded and I feel so connected these days. One of the reasons. So thank you for coming on today, and thank you for joining us. We're talking about how people are feeling emotionally right now. And Kim Webber says, we're still human. I still I still experience fear. I still experience doubt. I still worry about the people that I love dying, getting a disease and dying. You know, it's just, it's what we're in right now. It's the place we're in the world. And I would say that hello, Rohit, nice to see you. And I would say that the COVID-19 is the big equalizer. No one is escaping this. And it's interesting when you can sit back as a contemplative and watch it instead of having to get into it. And that's the end, because we can so easily get pulled into it, particularly right now with politicians debating on whether they're going to extend some financial resources to many Americans who desperately need that money. I mean, you know, I mean, the fact is that people are at home doing the best they can, and they don't have any income, and it's maddening, quite frankly, to watch politicians, both sides of the aisle, pull us into this drama debate. Of course, I'm on the side of giving us money because I think people need it. Fortunately, my husband and I have enough money to get through this, so I don't worry too much about it today on a day-to-day basis. But I've been there and I know what that feels like. It's pretty darn scary. But I will say this, that if you're willing to just suspend your fear long enough to go inside and look and see and let it go, hand over the problem, hand over the literal problem. I don't have any money, I can't pay the rent. I did it once before. I said, I don't have the money, I can't pay my mortgage, I need, and the attorneys told me to go bankrupt. I said, no. That would solve the problem, but it wouldn't be a solution for the internal problem. So my suggestion as a contemplative and as a mystic is to say, let's use this as an opportunity to heal, to resolve the inner conflict, our feelings of scarcity, our feelings of lack, all those dark emotional feelings that scare us. I'm not trying to say that these things aren't real. They are real. The fact that you maybe only have $12 in your bank account right now and you've got to pay the mortgage or pay the rent, that is real, and it's scary, and it's temporary. And it's temporary. This too shall pass. But the invitation is for it to pass from a place of love and certainty that you're going to be okay, that your love and your family is going to be okay. Because there's an intelligence within us. Napoleon Hill called that infinite intelligence, which is within us. And I'm going to read his quote real quick. Hold on one second, because I think it's a good quote. And he wrote the Bible on Think and Grow Rich. You know, he was like how to shift our thinking, how to go from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And that's how we grow rich. That's how we grow wealth, real wealth. Infinite intelligence is the prime source, the first cause of everything that comes into existence. Everything that comes into existence is coming from something that Napoleon Hill called infinite intelligence. We might call it God. We might call it the creative genius. We might call it the universe. We might call it reality as it is. Whatever you call it, I like infinite intelligence because the human brain thinks it, which is finite intelligence. The human brain is finite intelligence. That's why we can't solve the problem. That's why it's so scary. The human brain has only limited capacity to solve problems, very limited capacity, particularly since the human brain is what created the problem. So the invitation is when we come together at noon for contemplative prayer, Power Hour is to get our power back by becoming aware of this infinite intelligence, this powerful source within. And not just for ourselves, but for the entire world. Hello, Rohit. How are you doing today? It's been a while. How are you doing, Rohit? Nice to see you. So I want to read a little bit from one of my favorite books, one of my big teachers. His name is Dr. David Hawkins, and I've shown some of his work in the past, but he talks about power versus force. Force is what we think we can force our way into wealth. We can we can manipulate. It's the egoic mind's way of thinking how we can force our way into getting our way. It doesn't work. And this is, and his whole life is spent on it. So he wrote this book called Power versus Force. And I want to talk about it. He doesn't use the word infinite intelligence, but I think you'll get the sense of it here. Because we all need to be empowered right now if we're going to get through this fear. We got to empower ourselves and empower each other with the truth of who we are, which is this, and plug into this infinite intelligence, so we can find a solution. We can find a way to get out of this pandemic in a way where we're thriving. Right now, it feels like we're trying to just survive. So let me just read a little bit. This book is pretty dense, and every now and then I don't read from it a lot, but I want to read a couple of paragraphs from here. Genius is from the chapter called Genius and the Power of Creativity. Genius and creativity, then, are subjectively experienced as a witnessing. The capacity to finesse genius can be learned, though often only through painful surrender. The capacity to finesse genius can be learned. The capacity to finesse infinite intelligence can be learned. Though often only through painful surrender. When the phoenix of genius arises out of the ashes of despair, after a fruitless struggle with the unsolvable, out of defeat comes victory. Out of failure, success. And out of humbling, true self-esteem. So aren't those things we really like to cultivate and nurture right now in ourselves? And what if we could use this fear and this pandemic and this crisis as a way to nurture ourselves and defeat fear with victory? And out of failure, we find success. And out of humbling true self, find our real self-esteem, find our real self-confidence. Because that infinite is you and me. That's what we are. If we're just willing to surrender the egoic mind. One of the problems in attempting to understand genius is that it takes near genius to recognize it. The world frequently fails to identify genius altogether. Society often gives a claim to its work without noticing the intrinsic genius of its creation itself. Until one acknowledges the intrinsic genius within oneself, until one acknowledges the infinite intelligence within oneself, one will have great difficulty recognizing it in others. We can only acknowledge without what we realize within. Another way of putting that is we can't give something we don't have. If we haven't tapped into that infinite intelligence within ourselves, it's very hard to share it with others. And how do we get to that infinite intelligence? As we practice. All of a sudden, you realize, wow, there's something so much bigger going on. I'm part of it. It's so powerful, so beautiful. so loving, so nurturing, so creative. All my little narcissistic concerns just went away. And that's what I want for you. That's the invitation here. And then they'll come back gone tomorrow. You know, you get a bill from the IRS, or you'll get another notice, or you'll see something on the news. You know, and you'll see, you know, something that'll irritate you and pull you into the drama. And then you're back down in that lower rung, angry, frustrated, in despair, feeling worried. We all do it. We can't, we don't, we don't, we don't, we can't spiritually bypass these difficult times. As Ken Wilber says, we have to transcend them and include them. So as I'm speaking to you today from a higher level of consciousness, which I've tapped into early this morning, I'm not forgetting about the fact that I live in fear too, that I'm a human being, and that I can easily get pulled back into that drama. So with practice, a contemplative practice, we're able to pull ourselves up out of the ashes into a higher level. And that's when we find resolve. For example, Mikhail Gorbachev was the subject of enormous worldwide attention. But at the same time, the world never really did acknowledge his genius. Single-handedly, in only a few short years, he completely revolutionized one of the greatest empires on earth. And his only sources of power were his inspiration and his vision. Had the communist regime been based on power, nothing could have been overturned. But because it was based on force, it was destined to come to an end under the hand of a charismatic leader who was aligned with power. And that's what we need today in our own country, is a leader who's aligned with infinite intelligence, this deeper sense of power. Wouldn't that be refreshing? Because they're out there. You know who they are. You know who they are. Goes on to say, genius is one of the greatest untapped resources of our society. It's no more specific than it is personal. People of genius frequently have multiple talents in different realms, and they might have answers to a diversity of problems. Yet society suffers a great loss because it doesn't know how to nurture its geniuses. And in fact, it often is either indifferent or hostile to them. So, this is a safe place for all you geniuses, all you creative geniuses, because this is where we are. This is what we are. So let's meditate. Let's tap into that creative genius. Let's tap into the source of who and what we are. Let's be brilliant. So I'm going to set the timer here. Hold on 1 second. For 20 minutes of getting still, really getting still and listening to that deeper power within us, what Napoleon Hill called infinite intelligence. So allow yourself to get still. Focus is on the breath for a moment. Maybe you want to count the breaths. Maybe you want to just expand the breath a little longer on the outflow and a little longer on the inflow, just so you can bring your conscious awareness to the breath. The breath is the source of life. It will slow everything down. And if your mind thinks of things, which it's going to do, because that's what minds do, the invitation is to just surrender it. Especially any problem. This is the invitation today. Any financial problem that you've been worrying about, any other problem you've been worrying about, keeping you up at night. The invitation is to just get quiet about it for a moment. Just let it go for a moment. Just let it go. And maybe consciously say, I am surrendering my worry about money. I don't know how to fix it. It's out of my control. Whatever's going on, maybe you don't have a job right now. Maybe you're out of work. Maybe you run out of money. Whatever that is, the invitation is to surrender it to that higher operating resource within you. Today we're going to call that infinite intelligence. And get still. After you surrender it, just let it go and get still. The answer may not come as quickly as your ego wants it to. But I promise you one thing, it works. You let it go. You surrender it with faith and belief that you are much bigger, much more powerful. The life force within you is more powerful than any problem that exists. And you will find the solution. So be still and know, I am joy. I am love. I am prosperity. Simply breathe and be still and listen. Allow the sound of the bell, the vibration, to pull you deeper inside. Welcome back. How was your journey? My fellow mystics. Any comments? Anything you want to share? Yeah. What are you going to do for the rest of the afternoon? This is the invitation. Do something that feels really good. Whatever that is. It was great to be in the mystical universe, connect with the infinite. You know, that's so true. It's really not that we're never disconnected, Michael, Julian. We are always, we are the mystical universe. We are infinite intelligence. We are God. It's just that our minds give us the belief through fear and drama that we're something else. So when we let go of all that nonsense and surrender it, we realize life is just so exciting. It's so exciting to be part of this wonderful mystical universe. We are infinite intelligence. We are the divine. Can't be anything else. You know, I was listening to Eckhart Tolle the other day, and he was talking about manifesting. I always have a little problem with the word manifesting because it's been used so much improperly, I think. If you think, I want a new car, so I'm going to manifest a new car in my driveway. I guess that's in some cases, but that's not what manifesting is about. Manifesting is what we are. We are always manifesting. We are always creating, whether we do it consciously or unconsciously. The point of becoming a contemplative and tapping into the source, as you know, Julian, is that we begin to manifest, we begin to create consciously. And when we create consciously, we can create a better world and a better universe, one that's more fair, more equitable. It's not that there's anything wrong with the world. The world is fine. Human beings have created conditions that make it difficult to live in. And that's what we have to surrender. All problems are created. Hello, cousin. There's my cousin Mary Jo. Hey, Mary Jo. How are you doing today? Nice to see you here. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. So, y'all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining me today. It's just I couldn't do it. Just warms my heart to have people join me. I need you to in this journey with me because these are difficult times and we cannot do it by ourselves. I need all you beautiful, powerful, mystical, aware people, men and women, to share in this journey, to share in this great awakening of the planet. So, thank you. Thank you so much. May love and prosperity prevail. Oh, there's one more hello. Just one. Hello, Vincent. Nice to see you. Thank you for saying I'm sorry. You can always watch the replay, but do take some time for yourself. Do take you're working hard. I know you're a doctor on the front lines, and you're so right there every day, up front and personal with this pandemic. And thank you so much for putting yourself at risk. So please love yourself. Go inside and let go. Surrender. Just know you're doing the best you can with what you got, because you're a beautiful man with a big heart. So thank you for coming. Thank you for saying hello. And it's all about how we can help each other with the emotional difficulties and despair that come out of this when we help ourselves. Hopeful. So thank you for being here. May love and prosperity prevail.